Welcome, everybody. Another episode of the Boba Joe Show.
How's it going, everybody? Hope everybody is having an awesome time out there, enjoying their weekend. Hope you are all feeling in a turtle-tastic mood.
Yeah, we've put our plans for WrestleMania this week on hiatus because I ran out of time to build enough for the show. So we're going to do that one next week, still carry on and do the same show we planned. However, today's episode, we're going to do super secret topic, Playmates Ninja Turtles, which means guess what? I can play the second intro. Hang on.
Yeah, Raph. Love the red headband, Raph. Man after my own heart, or turtle after my own heart, I should say.
Here's a good one.
He's cool. Love it. You picked him up recently?
Oh, I've had him for several years. My missus gifted him to me one Christmas. He's quite big too. He's like keeps going.
Yeah,
He's quite big.
Wow.
But standing him up next to me, look, I mean that's half. He's nearly half the height of me. He's about 3 feet tall, and I'm 6 feet tall. So do the ninja kicks.
Yeah, he's man sized.
Yeah, pretty good. He lives on my chair back here.
We might see some other examples of plush turtles as we look through today's material.
So stuff we're looking at here today is the very beginnings of the Ninja Turtles Playmates line, 1989 and 1990 catalogs. And these are Playmates official catalogs that people have, they've sold over eBay on the years, and now and then when fans get a hold of them, they do a scan or a photo and upload to fan forums and all that. So they're retailer catalogs that go to like toy fairs and trade shows and that sort of thing, showing off the product. So sometimes we get illustrations as well as toy photos when they're still working on a particular thing that's coming up. But yeah, it's really cool to get some of these product catalog images. The first ones are not great, but as we go on, they get better. There's some much better ones.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to jumping in and having a look at these. It's actually a nice surprise. I know, like you said, we were planning on doing WrestleMania 11, and we will get to WrestleMania 11. But this is a very, very nice little detour we're taking today because I love.
I was going to do this anyway, but down the track, so I've got it planned with some other episodes. But I already had this pre-built from several weeks ago, sit on standby. So I thought, okay, great, can use it today because I run out of time to do other stuff.
One thing I love about looking, I love when you see these trade catalogs, and kind of similar to when you look at certain cross sells as well. I always love seeing the differences between, your initial painted prototype and then what you actually got at retail. Because even looking here, nice wrap there, we can see in this first picture, look at Rocksteady there with his nice bright white, horns there. The
Yeah.
actual figure's horns don't look that bright at all. And there's a couple of other little differences I'm sure we'll see later on.
Well, the funniest thing I noticed was the feet.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see in that image, but it's got a hinged foot in that product catalog there, which they've actually brought back that same joint on the anniversary ones that are out this month, where they've done those vintage style ones where they've added articulation, but it's actually that joint.
And that was always the
and the feet are flat.
Well, yeah, well, flat feet are a good thing when it comes to Ninja Turtles. I wish, yeah, like I wish we had gotten that back in the day.
Yeah.
Those kind of pre-posed stances were terrible for trying to stand.
They might look cool for like static picture, but for standing up they were terrible. You posted a picture in one of our private chats earlier in the week of a Donatello sitting on a throne. Which version of the turtle was that?
That is the old vintage mutating Donatello. Let me see.
I figured it was either the wind up or the mutating one, because I was looking at this picture here on the same day when you posted that, and I'm like, that also had flat feet. So clearly they did sculpt and use these flat feet pieces for other releases. There he is. Very nice.
There he is. You can see his hinges there on the bottom.
Yeah, so there they used that same hinge. They didn't waste that tooling and sculpting. They did use it on other ones.
Yeah, and that, I think these were like 92 maybe, or 93 they originally came out.
Yeah.
But they obviously had the mold was still there for that.
And then
that design.
Check out, I got this guy this week. It's that crawling Splinter. Well, it's the second release. He's got like ninja gear instead of the purple. But check out what's on there. Also, that same foot is back again. Which this is weird for me because I've never had that toy before. I've never owned that Donatello, and I'm seeing this catalog for the first time this week, and I'm going flat foot, flat. I'm like, why don't we get more flat feet? I feel ripped off.
We're obsessing over flat feet this season due to recent events. I got excited for a second when I saw the General Trag, and I thought that might have actually been a made prototype. But I think
it was just an illustration. You can tell it's actually from the cartoon because, well, he didn't exist in the Mirage comic. And up the top, we've actually got Mirage artwork there, it looks like, with Splinter from Black and White. So it's very early days as far as product resources and images where they're putting actual Mirage stuff into the catalog, even though, instead of like cartoon images, even though we've got the logo for the toys.
It was interesting times though as a brand back then, because I even remember, back, it must have been around 91 or 92, there was a lot of like Turtles merchandise that really just kind of crossed the lines between like the cartoons, the Mirage comics, and just almost like made up stuff. Like the style was kind of all over the place depending on what you got.
And you had like I'm familiar with a lot of the production artwork, and I've seen a fair amount of Mirage artist sketches over the years that got made into figures because that's what they were paid for to do, to make these sketches, and then the sculptors would design the figures based on the Mirage guys' sketches. And then what's known as promotional artwork, which gets used for, I don't know, like, I mean, here next to me I've got Mutant Mayhem Raph combo pack. These ones glow in the dark. Apparently, they're on sale. So I didn't know they glow, so that's why I bought them. But you get a logo in the corner. You've got this purple brick background, which might look familiar. That's on the screen right now. I just used a generic Canva image. I thought I'm going to mimic that because it looks cool. And we get like promo artwork is this guy in the corner here. So all your box artwork, all that sort of stuff, had a. Like most of the box artwork, sorry, I'm dropping this on the floor and it doesn't want to sit flat. Most of your Mirage guys did the box promo artwork, but then when it came to other third-party stuff, the non-figure, non-toy stuff, other things, or your miscellaneous products, they would use a mix of promo animation guide artwork, which was distinctly different from the actual animated show artwork style and colors. And this is not an example of that. This is like original Raph and reissue Raph, but you get two different greens on these guys, and you'll get similar things on the box artwork and the products, you would get different shades of colors, and you would get some would look more like the style guide turtles, some would look more like the show turtles, some would look like the action figure, and other artwork would look like the very first arcs in Mirage, where they had the Utroms and Triceratons, which is basically the Michael Dooney art style, where they're a bit beefier and a bit musclier, not so squat and small like at their very first appearance. And that artwork was used on like Ninja Turtles 3 Manhunt Project. It was used on like Commodore 64 version of the Ninja Turtles game and other Nintendo games and stuff.
You know what character that is beside Casey Jones and the?
Oh yeah, what the heck is that? It looks like a could be
Rat King,
Dirtbag, maybe. Who'd you say?
Yeah, it's maybe Rat King. Could it be Rat
Yeah,
King?
I was thinking like the pants on the head. It looks humanoid, like a Rat King or Dirtbag, or I don't know. I hadn't because it's so small.
Yeah. Yeah, I just noticed it there because I was like, I recognized everybody else just from their kind of silhouette almost, but for that dude, I'm not sure. I love the those wacky action gimmick turtles though. That Michelangelo, the wacky action one, was actually the very first Michelangelo figure I ever owned as a kid.
Oh,
Was his
nice.
wacky action version.
Now I'm bringing up. I've got all these files saved offline, so where I can see if I can zoom in on that image and actually give a better look at it. So give me a moment here. It's very blue. Oh yeah, it does say Rat King. Well done. I can tell by looking at the style that is another Mirage concept art, but I've not seen that particular piece before, because a lot of that stuff is, well, actually, did you watch a few weeks back? There was on that channel. There's a forget the name of it. I should know the name, but I've only recently started watching it. There's a guy who does like independent kind of mini documentaries and interviews with collectors of turtle stuff. And he talked to two guys that worked on the sculpts of most of the original figures. And they had a book that they'd had made, but it's self-published in America. So it's actually on their website. And it actually has a whole lot of these early production sketches in it, like blown up to a page each. I'd love to buy it, but it's self-published. And if you're in America, you can grab it. Good price. Anywhere else in the world, forget it. You're paying 3 times the price to get it shipped anywhere is the problem. Because I was looking at it going, can I get it? I'd love to own it, but no, it was like way up there. But yeah, a lot of it's what you call in-house artwork made under contract by the artists, and then it gets used in the design stage as they move on to sculpts and prototypes. But some stuff gets kept, but a lot of companies, especially once they got into the digital age, you're doing digital art, and a lot of companies in the older days, Hasbro, for example, would throw away a lot of their old production art and stuff, unlike Takara, who would actually keep stuff in a basement like a museum and have it for reference, several decades later.
Sometimes
you'll see blog posts with random Mirage sketches if it's particular. If guys who like Ryan Brown used to post some of his, he worked up Mirage and then he worked on Archie Adventures, and he used to post some of his old sketch because they were his artwork, because they're all basically independent contractors through Mirage. They own what they create, like Image Comics and that. So that I assume they would get royalties anytime they reuse their artwork on the corners of those reissue boxes.
I'm surprised there just hasn't been a big Turtles reference book. Yeah, like because they did it for everything else, and it's an easy money maker for Playmates just to release.
It needs someone like Jim Sorensen or one of those guys who's done the Transformers book and recently did some other stuff. Actually, what else did he do? He's done a whole bunch of ones, but he's done one of the several Transformers art books. But he's someone who's got skills and connections, who collects all this artwork and stuff and goes to the companies and gets access to their actual servers and computers and gets the original full resolution artwork. And he's traveled internationally. He's traveled over to Japan to get like bits of artwork and stuff like Japanese Transformers artwork that was nowhere else in the world, and then collates and puts it all together into these books. But he has permission from the publisher and from Hasbro to do it. Because if you do a fan one, they get shut down a lot of the time. They send legal cease and desist orders. Yeah, there's the Ultimate Visual History of Ninja Turtles, which is a great book, and I've got that. But it's just a very generic, by the numbers. If you know about Turtles, you pretty much already know what's in there.
Probably has a small section on the toys and Just as
Yeah,
like
there's
kind of
actually not a whole
a
lot about the
chapter.
toys. It's more focused around the media and shows and movies, like your typical books. It's still a really good book, and they're actually doing. It's been out several years. There's a new edition coming out later this year, and it's like revised and expanded. And I'm like, I'm not wasting my money. But then I'm like, there's something like 50 extra pages in it, so I'm like, I'll wait for it to go on sale.
Yeah. Oh, we got our party wagon here.
Yeah, and you get the reference material too, which is actually April's Volkswagen van from the original Mirage story, which is where they got the basis for the vehicle that they then modified into the party wagon in the show and toy line.
Pretty cool that they're including this within this kind of promotional material. Like, it's very interesting that
Unusual.
they decided. Yeah,
I think it's
very
part
cool.
of, in the early days, no one knew what this stuff was, and you had this underground indie kind of comic, popular for comic guys, but outside of comic shops, no one knew what the hell this turtle book was, especially not some marketing dudes at a toy company or whatever. So yeah, it's nice getting to see that in there. And I saw in some other stuff I was looking at where it had listed actual numbers of like comics sold and toys sold and all this, where they were really just pimping it up big time to promote and get other licenses and more media and all that, and showing how successful it had been.
It's interesting seeing how far along they were in their ideas as well. Like, even earlier on when we were looking at that first couple of pages where they had like I suppose your original 10 characters, but even you can already see that they've started doing up the prototypes for like the wacky action
Yeah.
gimmicks and all the other stuff. So like it's like they were planning from an early stage, like kind of numerous waves of figures. They didn't just kind of go out, all right, here's the 4 turtles and we'll see how this goes. It seems like they had a real plan to get as much out as possible.
I assume so. I don't know the full timeline. I've watched that. There was a good Turtles documentary a few years back that has has quite a few people involved that were involved in the early days in that, and that was a good watch. And I rewatched that this week. But there's not. I mean, some toy lines like Transformers, He-Man. There's quite a lot of documentation, information, podcasts, interviews with people. There's not a whole lot about turtle stuff. You have to really for the very early stuff, you really kind of dig. There's old issues of say turtle comics like the original Mirage. You'd have like letters pages in the back or editorials. They might be talking about, this is what's going on in the business, and we're handing over to these other artists because turtles are basically taken over our lives. It's a full-time business now, managing this turtle empire. And this was only the first couple of years. Once they got into the toy line and cartoon, it just took over their, Eastman and Laird took over their lives. So they couldn't put out a comic book anymore. I mean, they put it out, but they had to outsource it to their own Mirage Studios team, which was basically friends and family that they employed to do the books.
Yeah, the comics really, not to say that they fell by the wayside completely. Like, obviously they're still a significant part of the franchise, but once the toy line and cartoon hit the ground running, it does kind of become a situation where you're just focused solely on, I suppose, from the media side of things. It's just like, pump out episodes of this cartoon so we can sell more and more toys and merch.
Pretty much the
That's the
Star Wars
priority.
and Masters formula.
But some of these pictures here we're seeing are interesting. Like this kind of artist mock-up of the sewer layer looks fantastic, and you'd
Yeah, it
know
looks really
straight
cool.
away that it's what it's supposed to be. It's that toy. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, it's got the gimmicks and that, and it's got the ladder and the street lights. And man, they're doing reissue Technodromes out. Well, if you're in America, they already got some out now through Amazon, but for the rest of the world, like pretty much October this year, I've ordered 2 because I'm hoping at least one will turn up, because shit's real bad in Australia where you order it and then it gets cancelled. I ordered from 2 different places. I'm really hoping next year they do that Soulair playset, because I've never had or even seen one of those either, other than on eBay.
I'm looking to get the Technodrome. I'm putting it out there. As anybody, look, I'm sure I've been quoted as saying before, it's kind of like one of those childhood things that like I always wanted. I've still never
Yeah,
gotten one to this day. A few
I've never
times
even
I've come
seen one in
close.
person. It's not something you're going to see in Australia very often. Like, especially not in Perth, you're not going to run across them. Like I can go on eBay and there's some for like $600 now, but they're all be in the eastern states. So if you go to like a toy show or something, you're not there's nothing here. You're not going to see them. So I've never even seen one, not even the box. At least as a kid, I saw Metroplex in a box once. I never saw the Technodrome in a box or nothing, because a lot of the New Zealand stuff was smaller stores and they wouldn't get big playset stuff because it was too pricey. They'd only get the basic vehicles and that.
Yeah, my timing for just going for them has always been bad. Like I've kind of missed out on ones that were going for what I would consider a reasonable price, and then other ones you find later on, if they are being sold in Europe, the condition's not that good, or and they're still asking a lot of money.
It's the same in
it's never
Australia.
it's
We're a
never
beat up
worked
one
out.
and its price is.
And because it is something I suppose I do have a lot of, I suppose, nostalgia for, even though I never owned one, but I always wanted one. I don't want
I always
to.
wanted one more than anything. As a kid, I was like, I mean, I never expected one as a kid because we couldn't really afford the vehicles or the van and that. I had the Turtle Cycle and that was about it. But I never had the Masters Castle, so I got that a few years ago, and the Masters Origin. So I was real keen to get that, and I didn't have playsets in general because they were just way out of our budget and price range as kids. I mean, as kids or our family, young families, we just couldn't afford that stuff.
I would love though to get that reissue. Hopefully, it's something that can be gotten over here fairly easily. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I'm confident based on that. Like 3 retailers now are offering it in Australia for pre-order for October. There'll definitely be options for the UK, like because it's a much bigger market there. And there's a lot more people that like turtles in Europe, that are in Europe, UK, Ireland, Scotland, Britain, whatever, than there are in Australia. It's like, not to knock Australian turtles fans, but there's a lot more people over there. Like, I mean, turtles is very popular over there.
I remember these like suction cup plush turtles that we can see here in this top picture.
Did you see them on people's
cars?
Vehicles, like the old Garfield ones? They'll be on people's cars in the back window and that. Yeah.
They were cool. These other plush ones at the bottom, though, look a little bit more angry and serious.
Yeah.
Barnyard Commandos.
Yeah, that was a cool. I've never seen those in person either, but I know a mate who told me about them and that. So I've looked up I've looked up the entire line and videos, and you can find even videos from the last couple of years of YouTube people that into these retro toys and that have show off the toys really nicely and good high definition video.
Yeah, I've only ever seen them in pictures and videos. I never came across them in the real world.
I don't know if they sold in New Zealand or not. Couldn't tell you.
Was there an accompanying cartoon or anything?
Yeah, there was. There was a very brief. I think clips of it on YouTube, but there was a very brief cartoon as well. And because this is the Playmates catalog, this is like just what else they had. So it's very Turtles heavy. And I don't know what these things are either. Some kind of cutie toys with like weird doll things and like bunny and bear suits. But I find them a little bit creepy.
It says PJs all day at the top of the first page.
But there's loads of toys and toy ads I remember as a kid that I've never had, but I've seen all through the 80s. Every Saturday morning be filled with like toy ads, stuff. I don't know, like Glow Friends, Jim, My Little Pony, Barbie, but I've never seen or heard of these things.
Yeah, they look they remind me of that South Park episode with the Hair Club for Men, where everybody's like dressed up as furries and bunnies and stuff. Yeah, pretty. I'm not going to say they're crazy or anything because I don't want to tarnish somebody's childhood memories.
I'm sure they're fine toys. I just never heard of them, which is odd because I know most 80s toys, ones I've never owned, like Captain Power or bloody Visionaries, or there's so much stuff. Brave Star. If I haven't owned it, I've at least heard of it or seen the commercials or the cartoons. It's just not often I see something and go, I've never heard of that at all. So I'm guessing it wasn't terribly popular. But that's the end of the 89 catalog, and we move on to the 1990 catalog, which has much better images because whoever got a hold of this managed to do some decent quality, either scans or photos or whatever.
also we can see already there's a consistency now to the art style of how the turtles are drawn compared to what the figures look like. We know exactly what we're about to be getting into here by the time 1990 comes around. These are really high quality images, though, I have to say. Beautiful.
Yeah, and they're definitely making the money. I'm going to look at my one off the screen here so I can see what's on this text and zoom in. So it's got on that image on the right. This is like all your stuff they're trying to advertise to potential buyers and sellers and whatnot. So we've got top-rated TV series, 26 all-new shell kicking shows starting September, powerful 10 million Playmates TV advertising and promotional support, and then 10 million additional support from over 175. That's 175. 175 licensees worldwide. That's a lot of products and companies, including Ralston, Purina, and Konami video games. Awesome 15 million live action motion picture. Blockbuster Burger King promotion in spring, supported to the tune of 10 million. And Turtles are back with 36 fresh new toys from the sewer toys. So 36 new toys, a movie, massive cash overflow. You can see they're really pushing it hard to any one that's looking at selling the toys or jumping on board as being a licensee to make, I don't know, bloody tents, sleeping bags, bars of soap. I used to have some of those mini bars of soap. I never unwrapped them.
10 million, though. 10 million in 1990 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
It might seem like a bit. When you get to the next year or so, it's into the billions. It's into that master Star Wars. I saw another figure somewhere else that was like dwarfed that. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, push that merch. And what an advertisement, though, for potential buyers. Like, it's really just
it's like,
you with the
okay,
numbers.
you guys are just printing money. Like, okay, let's jump on. We want to get on board. We're going to sell some of your stuff, or we're going to license a thing. Coloring books, great. Let's pay that guy in South America the usual 5 cents and start giving him some dodgy art coloring books.
Loving some of these images here. A little bit different to what we got with some of the figures I can see already.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I don't remember my storage cell Don looking like that with his shell colored in on the inside. Never got that in the actual figure, unfortunately. And his individually colored accessories.
Yeah, I like. There's quite a few. I've seen other like production ones too, where you get like, say, Wingnut, or who else has a buddy? Some of the figures, come with little mini figures. They got Wingnut comes with Screw Loose. The fish
Man
guy
and
that
Joe
comes with
Eyeball.
Man Ray. But when you see the actual prototypes, so those little minifigures are painted. Of course, when you get them, they're just all that plain, same as the weapon color plastic. But it's cool seeing painted version. Oh, Scratch, who's way at the end of the line, comes with a little character called Jailbird, and he's actually painted.
Yeah, it's cool that they actually went to the trouble for the prototypes to do the paint apps.
And I love seeing the pictures for the storage cell turtles, because here the Ninja Stars on the inside, on other pictures and on the back of the reissue cards, it shows it inside the shell as if it's like on there. But they're actual little nubbins you can put the hollow Ninja Stars on and store them in there. But then they show the pizza thing on there, and that does not have any attachment point. It just sits loose inside there. But they always fake it in the photos to make it look like it actually clips onto something, which it doesn't. Because I was looking at the package going with those reissue ones I got, going, how the hell do I? Oh, here's one. Here's Raph. That's not his shield. That's from that Samurai Leo. And with him, I was like, see, I've got the little the whole shell came off. It's
they always pop off.
Yeah,
see,
I've got the little Ninja Star stored on the bit in there.
Yeah.
But the other stuff just sits loose in there, and there's the actual pizza thing. It's just, and it's got the sticker on it, which is cool. So you got the brown plastic with the sticker on it. Delicious.
Delicious. You have to microwave it first, though.
Oh yeah. Do you know what's funny about the storage shell ones? I'll leave them for later because I can't see the pin bit to pop it back on. I don't want to break them. They come with the little weird weapons that are like animals. Hang on, I've got one here. Another toy on the floor. Yeah, they come with like little weird taxidermy animals. Oh, there's not there.
Yeah, they
There's
do.
the
They come with
Leo
weird,
one.
like, little
Like there's a
squirrels.
blowfish on a chain with like Michelangelo, and there's like another one's like a little rat or a mouse, and it's like they've taxidermied it and then attached it to a handle to use like a club or something. It's quite demented.
I love this concept art here of Wrath Space Cadet.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Of all those the Sky Turtles, Leo the Sewer Samurai was definitely my favorite. He's a badass looking figure.
I've got him. I never tried to get him, but I bought some mixed stuff on eBay last year, and I got one of those loose, complete, in really nice condition.
Gold paint on him looks beautiful.
Yeah, it does. Looks really nice.
This whole spread actually for me is nearly like peak when it comes to probably some of my favorite figures in the line. Like I love
Yeah, me
Slash, I
too.
love Triceraton, Scumbug,
Man,
Mutagen Man. Loads of my favorites here on these pages.
Panda
Fugitoid,
Khan.
yeah,
Yeah,
Panda Khan
Fugitoid I
always
got
teams
really
up and
early. I
makes
bought
happy.
him at the shops as a kid.
Of course, you're one of your favorites there, Ray Fillet. Have you managed to get a
Yeah.
vintage style Ray Fillet yet?
I've got a secret admirer who's actually going to post me one over from America. So I'll reveal all when it's here. I'll do like a video clip about that.
Triceraton looks great here in his promotional picture. Triceraton
Yeah.
was my stand-in for Rocksteady for years because
Oh,
it took
nice.
me a long time to get a
I
Rocksteady, so I needed another horned animal to be that thug guy.
I'd never had the Triceraton as a kid or ever, and then just 2 weeks ago I got not one but two from two different sellers at a really good price.
Nice. The Mutagen Man prototype looks really good here, so it does.
Yeah, he's basically my last figure to get now. Like they've done a reissue last year that was missing the accessories and it didn't sell in Australia or whatever anyway. But now they've reissued them again this year with the accessories and it's got the proper card artwork, but it's the American release again. So I'm like, ugh. So I'll wait and see if any importers into this year or next year get it. Because every time I try and buy a vintage loose one, the prices are crazy. It was actually cheaper to buy a Super 7 Mutagen Man, which is 100 Australian dollars, than to try and buy a loose, beaten up, missing limbs, no accessories vintage Mutagen Man. I don't know why people are just charged dumb prices in Australia. And
It's
he's not
crazy.
uncommon. There's plenty of them. If you look on America, eBay in America, there's loads of them. They made a lot of these figures. There's still heaps of them that are cheap in America.
Well, I do. Like I have an original vintage one. He's complete, but
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed, especially over the last year and a half, the translucent plastic now is
One
starting to
yellow
become very kind of yellow and cloudy.
and like
So I would
smoky.
like
Yeah.
yeah, I would like a reissue one just to maybe spruce them up a bit.
Yeah, most of my figures are in pretty good shape. Like like this. Hang on, that's reissue Raph. This is my original Raph that I actually got when I was like 8 years, 8 or 9, 88, 89. Because whether it was the first or second year, I don't know. As a kid, like it's all a blur. I can't remember. I don't know which year I got it. I just know it was like a birthday or Christmas. But this is the same one I've had since then. His legs are still good. He hasn't gone gummy. I played with it as a kid, but he survived. I've still got all his accessories that I kept in a old jam jar. There's no jam in there. It was clean. um, but he's still fine. Like I can move his arms. I can move his. None of my original turtles broke, so I was very fortunate. Because like your masters, when you get down into the groin here, it's got like a kind of TY section, and it is plastic, not rubber like Joe or whatever. But that piece can become brittle and snap, and a lot of them, the leg will come off as a whole piece, but the piece inside basically, it's like if you fell over and busted your actual hip. It's like that joint can snap inside there, and then the figure's pretty stuffed unless you want to permanently glue it on or whatever. But I've been very fortunate; mine have survived. None of mine broke, but I got a wing nut from a couple of years ago for the first time, and he is going really gummy. But who knows how he was stored and where he sat? Mine have always been away in storage when I've not had them over the years, and cool dark rooms and that.
Yeah, a lot of the the vintage turtles can go very gummy and sticky over
it's
time.
the plastic chemicals are starting to actually separate, like at the molecular level or whatever the hell it is they do.
They're breaking down. They're mutating, you might say.
Yeah, they're demutating, or they're doing a secondary mutation. I just noticed on the catalog here, Slash has got the purple belt. That's one of the variants, because he normally has the black belt, but then he also comes with a purple belt.
Yes, the purple belt Slash will cost you a pretty penny if you are looking for that variant out there.
Kind of crazy, because the black belt looks cooler anyway. And if I had a purple belt, I'd want to paint it black. I feel like. I mean, it's that. This is Tocca's one, but they've reused that, so it's the same belt. I like the black way better. It still looks cool in purple though. But I'm glad my one I've had since I was a kid. Like, out of these ones that I actually had as a kid, I got Fugitoid, Slash, Napoleon Bonafrog. I didn't have Panda Khan. I only got him a couple years ago. I didn't have Mondo Gecko as a kid, but when I was a teenager, my mate that I knew in high school, we're getting to about 14, 15. He wasn't interested no more. And one day he gave me a bunch of stuff I never had. He gave me a Shredder, a Mondo Gecko, a Foot Soldier, and some other ones I forget. And I've still got them. And so he got them at the same time from those same early waves as kids. But this was like 88 going up to like mid 90s. Basically, he gave some to me for free, which was awesome because I've still got them now.
Good friend.
Yeah,
I see.
Pizza Face I got 2 weeks ago for the first time as well. Yeah.
Pizza Face is a great looking figure, I have to say.
And I've been trying to buy them for like 3 years actively. Every week on eBay, I've been looking. I've finally got one that's loose, complete, paint's good, not beaten up, and yeah.
And if you didn't know that was supposed to be pizza splattering on him, you'd think he was very bored up and chopping up fools left, right,
Yeah,
and
if you read
center.
the profile, his profile card's really demented. I've mentioned it several times to various people. They don't know if I'm joking or not, but I'm 100% serious. The reason he doesn't have a leg is that he cut his own leg off, he cooked it, and he ate it. That's from the guy who actually created the character and wrote the profile. Said that.
I hope he at least ate it as a topping on a pizza.
So yeah, I assume so. So he's a cannibal, but he's a cannibal for his own leg. It's so demented, but I just love it. He's sitting just up there.
Wingnut has painted toes as well. I see
Yeah,
in his
he's got
prototype.
nice paint details on him.
I love seeing a little bit of extra paint here and there when you look at these. And like you mentioned earlier, seeing the companions like Screw Loose and Joey Eyeball actually painted, it makes a difference.
Yeah, I've got because now I've got the bloody NECA and Super 7 ones. I've got painted multiple versions of some of those guys. Let's see if I can find one, because they're so small. Well, here's the fish guy that comes with the Super 7 version of Man Racer. He's painted all over.
Yeah.
And he's a weird little bomber dude with dynamite. But then the other version is the Archie one, where it's the glub fish man. And that's the one that comes with Scratch the cat. That's just Jailbird. So it's not articulated. It's just a non-posable. But that's got the actual paint scheme that they showed off in production promo stuff, the same colors and that. So it's quite cool. And he's a really nice little minifigure. And the Screw Loose, of course, both the Super 7 and NECA ones are fully articulated now and painted. One's a cartoon and one looks like the Archie comic.
Mike the Sewer Surfer looking cool. I'll actually go and say that the finished product from Mike the Sewer Surfer probably turned out looking a little nicer than that prototype.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good.
I think they actually added extra paint on the one they finally released. Weird how it works out like that sometimes.
So we'll jump on and see what's on the next page. What else we got going on? Here it's showing this is like the earlier one. So like this is your new figures, and now we're also basically reissuing the stuff from the previous year.
That was part and parcel of the turtle package anyway, because like, you know, the way these days, if you're lucky enough to even get a cross sell on the back of a card, you rarely do. But if you are lucky enough to get one, it will usually only show you the other figures that are in the current wave of the figure that you just purchased.
not the
Whereas
full
with
line.
Turtles, every time a new wave came out, when you got a new card back, everything that came before it, you saw on the back of that
and eventually,
card.
there was once it got to more than 50 figures, or they started showing little circle dots because they couldn't fit them all on the card.
Yeah, amazing. I loved looking at that stuff. Loving looking at these images here as well, and obviously because these are the now we're moving into the line a bit through 1990, and these figures have already been released. We're more or less seeing their actual how they should look and how you would actually purchase them at retail.
See, Rocksteady's got that grey horn now instead of the bright white.
Yeah, so and Bebop has just a plasticky looking shield instead of that cool gold one he had in his prototype image.
So I had the villains on the right as a kid. I got Bebop and Rocksteady as gifts or like birthday or whatever. General Trag I bought for myself. Baxter I bought for myself. But actually, that General Trag and Baxter were the first two figures I ever got because I went to the store, saved up pocket money for weeks, rode my little treadly bike across town, and I was going to buy a turtle. When I got there, I was looking at the turtles going, they're okay. But I was looking at these other mutant freaks that were so much more detailed and the cool paint and the weird creatures and stuff. They were just such cool looking figures. I went, I'll get these guys. And it was like 8-year-old little weird brain me. I'm like, I'll get these guys because I'm sure the turtles will be around next time. I could get them another time. They're still going to be there. They'll make more turtles.
And boy, did they make more turtles.
But I got them for a birthday or Christmas anyway, turtles. So yeah, it worked out good.
They never show Ace stuck with his wings on for some reason. I'd definitely be trying to sell that toy.
Yeah, I wonder if they were still doing them. I got 2 bloody Ace ducks now. I got my vintage one up there, which I only picked up about a year ago, but he's got his hat and his wings. And then we've got the Super 7 one. They did really, really nice wings on that.
Notice how much better the Shredder figure looks when he's not. It doesn't look like he's standing on a surface. It almost looks like he's leaping because he's just on like a colored background. But owning that figure, it's a pain in the arse.
I can't. To this day, I can't stand that figure. At least when they've done modern versions, they make him stand up. They can move.
My guy at the moment looks like he's. My guy looks drunk. He's actually leaning against a party wagon because he's already tipped over and he's just got one arm leaning against the side of the van.
I get they want to show his muscles, but they give him like cloth goods cape. Why can't they give him a shirt as well? It just always seems silly to me.
It was an odd choice.
Well, and thanks, just, Masters guy that did the squat pose or whatever that's apparently designed the squat pose.
But I have to say, like, even though like we look back in the now and we kind of deliberate over the why of it all, for some reason as a kid, I just kind of accepted this.
I didn't. I never liked the Shredder as a kid. I was like, it just looks terrible. I didn't even want it. Like, I never bought it when I was in the shop. I went, no, I'm not buying that.
I was always looking out for one. I wouldn't end up getting one until I was an adult, unfortunately. Like but I always wanted
the foot soldiers in the weird squat pose as well. But you can get away with it because it's a robot, not a human being, and plus it balances better than the Shredder.
Yeah, I was actually I think it was in one of our group chats. I was saying to Grindhead Jim when he was talking about those articulated re-releases. It would be great if we could get the villains in those type of releases as well with the same articulation, because I'd love to get some foot soldiers in that scale that I could actually move their arms and bend their legs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be good if they did them in the vintage style, because you've got the BST loyal subjects ones, but they're real small and shrimpy, don't scale with other stuff. You got the Super 7 and NECA, but they're 7-inch scale. But it'd be good if they did actually do the vintage style, but make them with articulation and stand up better, but still on the proper scale, not just the height, but the width, the depth of it.
Yeah, it would be awesome. Frank here without his bubble and his bubble walker.
Yeah, he hasn't got no bubble on it. No bubble, no trouble.
That in the last picture and even the previous year, he still didn't have the bubble. They must have just been it was reflecting the flash of the camera, so they had to take it off.
You got reflections, and then also I mean, I don't know the timeline of when they're doing stuff, if they're still molding that piece or whatever they're doing, even if they've got the design or prototype of it. Because, you know, because it's clear plastic, who knows how much they're mucking about to get it just right.
And sometimes as well, so you could have all these prototypes, but the person taking the picture could literally just be some photographer slash marketer
Yeah,
dude who
work experience kid.
doesn't have a clue. Yeah, doesn't know how
Have a
things are supposed to work.
transformer, turns it upside down and inside out.
Doesn't know that Bebop wouldn't actually hold a gun pointing at his own knee.
Yeah, it's a drill. That's the shell drill. And it's like, although he could have put it, and if you have that figure, and any Turtles person knows, if you put something in their hand, as soon as you put it down, it immediately just goes and rotates itself and angles away. So that might have happened.
Leatherhead looking great here as well. A little bit brighter maybe than the actual release. His tone of green is a little lighter.
It was a funny one that they made him so, like, he's kind of like horizontal instead of vertical, but his legs are like so ridiculously stubby. They might as well have actually made him stand on all fours.
He's probably the most easily breakable of the vintage toys as well because of his design. There's just something about how he's held together that doesn't seem quite as sturdy as the other models.
He's a weird kind of design the way they did it with his arms, and because his arms and legs are totally different joints in his body pretty much to anything else in the line.
Metalhead is such a great looking figure.
Probably I love Metalhead.
So the vintage figures. That chrome.
I wish they were doing modern metalheads that were as good as that. I mean, not just in the figures, but in the media, because they've done several versions now. They've done versions of IDW Comics, they've done them in the Nickelodeon show, but they're completely, you know, every show new thing's a complete redesign. But I'd like to see one that's as cool as the original one.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be the same. Just has to have the cool factor.
Yeah, because the cool thing about that Metalhead was he literally did look like a robotic turtle. You could see the exact same, even his stance, the way he kind of was posed. It would just look like a chromed up robot turtle.
Yeah, and they did. I never saw it, but they did a later release that was the Metalhead figure repainted as Michelangelo with the M on the belt instead of a T, and it had like, I'm not sure if it has a chrome or not, but it was a weird release. Just which, if they did that one, why didn't they do all four turtles like that?
That Michelangelo repaint is one of the most expensive turtles variants you can go.
Yeah, I've never seen. I only heard about it years later on the internet.
Yeah, insane prices on the secondary market. And you know me, I'd always look at that shit because it's a repaint. I'm like, oh, I'd love the exact same toy again. Then I look at the prices, like, oh no, fuck that. It's okay. I don't need that one.
Yeah, it's funny that they did. Mikey didn't do the rest of the turtles as that repaint, considering they could just do that mold and as four. All the revisions they did, it seems an obvious one, but they didn't do it.
Yeah, and it would have probably been one of the cooler ones as well if they just gone ahead with it.
Well, because you had robotic Bebop and Rocksteady, so that would have been cool actually to have a full set of 4 robot turtles as well to fight. Then the real turtles can sit at home and just like play video games and watch them go fight.
They did a robotic foot soldier as well, which is a really cool looking variant chrome foot soldier.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I know they did in one of the late episodes of the show, they had like kind of like super foot soldier that had like a different head, because now like Nick has done versions of that as well.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate foot bot.
I've never had April like then or now. I've still never owned the April figure. What about you?
Yeah, I have the original one still on her card actually, with the crazy cocaine eyes. And then
they did weird releases with the color schemes, and then like the Streetwalker version and the caveman looking one. And...
Yeah, I have the other one from like 1992 where it looks like she just had a load of hairspray and she's got like massive.
Yeah, it's like they put doll hair or something on it. Yeah, I don't mind this one. I think looks nice where it's got the stripe down the side.
I always thought it was a cool feature that she had the pistol hidden in the camera as well.
Yeah, the pistol was funny. Actually, the one I don't know if it's the photography there, but the hair looks really dark there, and it makes me think like Alice Cooper or something. The hair's just like it's real wet. It's real wet down.
Yeah, that first run of April's, they just she had very dark hair, just a really Yeah, she just did not look like the way she looked in the cartoon at all, but she was
No,
obviously
she didn't
based
look
off
like any version
sketch,
of April, really. It was quite strange.
apart from the yellow jumpsuit. They kept
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I've
She
got
also
the
has the logo on her
Hmm.
back as well. She's a Ninja Turtles logo, which I always thought was
Yeah.
interesting.
Is that the same as like the Ace Duck one where it's in the middle of the back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got the Super 7 April, which I never actually wanted, but I bought the wave for those figures a couple of years ago, and the seller had those 4. I couldn't buy just one. So that's why I ended up with it. Didn't really want it. But it's actually really nice. It's got 3 heads and they're different expressions. And it's one of the April often gets the worst figures consistently through any turtle line. And I think it's one of the best looking Aprils they've made for anything. I was surprised. So I was going to get rid of it and sell it, but I decided to keep it.
Good. No, it's good when they get things like that right. I had the my kind of newest April would be the NECA cartoon version of her.
I still don't have that one. That's like one of the last figures I don't have to get for the core toon cast of it.
Yeah, she looks great in her
Because
kind of
they stopped
toon
selling them in
style.
Australia, so it became harder to get it.
We'll find you one eventually.
I think there's still some on eBay. It's just they're a little bit pricier now, so I will. It was kind of last on my list. I don't have April or Casey from the toon line, but then I never really cared about them as vintage figures that much. I prefer like the Mirage Comics version or later versions like 2002, where they're just with more interesting designs in it. But yeah, Isagio Jimbo, he's another one of my favorites too. I think I had one. I want to say post year 2000. I got one the first time, but he wasn't in great condition, and he didn't have any accessories. He had his ears though, and then I picked up another one just in the last 12 months that's in really nice condition. All his paint, all his little armor, like samurai armor panels, are intact and on his arms and legs. Him and Panda Khan. And so even though I'd owned that figure for years, it was you'd call it a junker. And when I got a good condition one, it was like having it for the first time. I was so happy to get it.
I loved Usagi, the figure, and I had the figure long before I saw the episodes that he appeared in.
Often his
but I always
ears
just thought
get
he was
snapped
cool.
off.
I remember I was staying in my my aunt's house for a week, and I think like for the first couple of days I was there, she brought me into town and let me bring home a toy, or like she'd buy me a toy, and I got the Usagi toy because he came with so many swords and just little daggers and
Yeah,
stuff. I just thought it was really
loads of
cool.
accessories. They were fairly
Yeah,
generous
I always
actually when they did the ninja characters, because your turtles had the whole weapon rack sprue where you'd get like a bow, a kind of Joe looking thing that was like a pole with a blade on the end of it, and then like your nunchucks, your ninja star, the little karma weapon, the fist dagger, and then like Usagi too, extra stuff with him. Sometimes a little like a kunai knife, or they're cool with the amount of accessories they would come with.
Yeah, and it was just it was a great feeling as a kid as well, just pulling the individual weapons off the little plastic
Yeah.
sprue as well.
Did you know as a kid that they could also stand up like a weapon rack? I didn't know that, because the moment I
I didn't
opened
know
mine, I
that
pulled
till
them
later on. I just always
because
thought it was like a little square that
yeah,
meant nothing after you took the
like
weapons off.
I'd made basic model kits, so I knew what a sprue was, and as soon as I opened it, I just pulled it apart. But on I don't know if it was the early package or the revision, there are some that tell you on the back of the package about that feature. But I only found out about it a couple of years ago. So when I got those reissue ones, I'm like, I won't pull the weapons off. I'm going to open one and have it. There's a little display weapon rack, since I've still got my vintage weapons anyway. And then I can have that in the background. What do you
Yeah,
reckon
that's
about the
pretty
old
cool.
Frog Brothers? We only got 2. We got Genghis and Napoleon in this line. They're very different looking, whereas in the cartoon you got 4 similar looking. But I always really like this Genghis figure.
We only got 2, and I think maybe we said this before privately. I have a distant memory of it, or
Yeah,
maybe way back when we did our original Turtles chat, like
yeah.
first or second episode. Playmates had some fucking balls, or even any company that like Super 7 maybe who are doing these type of figures based on the vintage ones. Just give us the 2 other frogs. People would go
Yeah,
crazy for that, especially
yeah,
like
yeah.
old school collectors.
I
Even
keep
if you,
waiting for that. I've been wondering if they'll do it in the Super 7 line, because they're doing the toy likeness, whereas NECA's does the cartoon and movie ones. I've been wondering, are they going to do the other frogs, but do them as like different sculpts, I guess, if they're doing toy versions.
But done in such a way that you know that these could have been released back in the day as part of the
that's
line.
the thing. That'd be cool.
Yeah, they really need to go ahead and do it because it really
because they
bugged
have
me as a
had
kid.
minor appearances in the Nickelodeon show and some of the later comic books based on other media where they kind of reinterpreted them, but they were all frogs. Sometimes they'd be different species of frogs, but you could tell that they were all meant to be frog brothers.
Like I know you got the NECA versions of the frogs. I missed them.
Yeah,
I wish
they're right.
I picked them up at the time.
Yeah, yeah, they're too small to see out there, but actually no, they're up on the top shelf now. Sorry, they're right over there, standing up on that shelf, and in front of them, I've got like this little guy too.
Yeah, Frog Brother.
Yeah, that's from the Mutant Mayhem one. So I just put him in there, like he's the extra. He's a little chubby brother. I do like
Rat
his
King.
He's actually got a gimmick as well. Look, he's got the
flicky
tongue that goes in and out.
Catch some flies with that tongue.
Yeah, like the old Masters gimmicks, just a little winder thing in his back.
Rat King looks really sinister in toy form. Like he looks way scarier than he does in the cartoon. He looks like a proper Horror Express character.
Well, in the Mirage comics, he's called like Han Tan or something, and he's almost got like semi-mystical psychic abilities with the rats, but he's much more menacing and nasty in that, whereas in the cartoon he's kind of goofy in that. I still like both versions, but the Mirage original one is definitely a lot meaner and nastier and scarier. He's more like I don't know, what's it, that Spider-Man bad guy that's like a big rat called Vermin or whatever.
Yeah, cool looking figure though, very menacing looking.
Yeah, I love the little rat crawling up his arm.
Yeah,
and one on his foot.
And of course, the line was kind of famous for that, with their kind of molded in little extra features like that. Yeah, we got the rat going up Rat King's arm, and the spider, and on General Prague there we see the snake wrapped around his leg, and
the scorpion on his shoulder, spider on his arm. I don't know what the thing on the other side is. I mean, I've got it, but the red thing, I can't remember what it is. And on his back, he's got some stuff as well. He's even got bits of like little other rocks and stuff molded into his back.
He's got a squished turtle on the sole of his boot, which is a very
oh yes, he has that as well. I think I actually painted it on my original one. I put a little bit of paint on there so it would highlight the turtle, some model paint.
That's one of those little things where they didn't actually have to mold that. That's a little
I love
nice
those little
surprise. Things. Yeah, love it. No, great looking lineup of figures here.
That's one of the nice thing on those big Super 7 ones is that hang on, I'll get this guy. How many things can I knock over getting this? There we go. Ready to boogie. That's the Genghis. And like you get like, like there's his shirt and all the little, he's not the best example because he doesn't have the weird creatures on him, but the little details and things like, I mean, there's his watch is like fully painted on his arm and that.
Yeah, it's
and
really
like,
nice.
Every little bit, and like the thing about the anklet surfer bracelet thing, that's painted on there. And like, so when you look at any of those characters that have the blown up Baxter Stockman that has like the extra little details and rips on the clothes, you can really see that they've magnified those cool little bits, and there's paint on every bit of them. And like his crazy tongue gun is like nice silver paint up here, the scope, the handle, green paint on there, and then you can do your 3D 4D effect there.
And actually textured tongue as well, compared to the
really
flat
cool
plastic of the original.
Very cool. It's so big. It's like that's a nearly 8-inch figure, and that tongue gun is as long as it's crazy.
He's popular with the ladies with a tongue like that, no doubt.
But yeah, it's nice seeing like the Bebop and Rocksteady too. The big versions of them, they're about 8, nearly 9 inches, and all the little shells and textures and the chain necklace, all that stuff just looks amazing. Here we've got some vehicles and gimmicks.
Some wacky action going on here.
Yeah.
I always wanted that wind-up Mauser. Always.
Oh, I never got him. I got to play with it at a friend's house one time because he was, I don't know, he was he was a mate for a few years, but he was a bit of a snot. Like his parents were spoiled him and bought like the first 2 waves. They bought him every single figure and every gimmick, like everything, and including that Mouser. So at least I got to play with it for a little bit at his house, but I've never owned one or seen one since.
Here we have as well, of course, I mentioned earlier, my first ever Michelangelo was the rock and roll Michelangelo we see in the middle.
Oh, nice. That's the wind-up gimmick.
Yeah, the wind-up
it's like
gimmick
his arm
indeed.
rotates or spins or something.
Yeah, and it kind of, even though he doesn't come with the nunchucks, I just used to pretend that the weird thing he came with was just, when it was spinning around, I just pretend he was spinning his chucks, you know? That was my imagination at work. But what I actually kind of liked about those wacky action turtles was that they actually had painted eyes, which I thought was like so cartoon accurate at the time as a kid. Yeah, there's Splinter.
That's the revision. It's the same as that figure there, but this is, I mean, it's a new head, I would assume.
Yeah.
But the arms and legs are basically the same, and they've sculpted new parts, this like kind of chainmail skirt. And if we do the wind them up, there he goes.
This is creepy crawling Splinter.
Yeah. But I thought that was I've never had this one before, and his head can actually move a bit like that. So I thought he's a really cool sculpt and cool looking. I got him $20. His foot's in a box. It was already damaged. But I'm going to glue it back on tomorrow. But and he's got his little accessories. Don't ask me what the hell any of them are. I've got no idea without looking them up. He's got the weirdest looking accessories that don't make a lot of sense. But it's really nice because I've never been big on like the gimmick ones as far as this kind of part of the line. It's not appealed to me too much. But he's, other than the gimmick itself, which is kind of cool, he's crawling along like a ninja in the grass or something. I thought it's a really nice sculpt. I'm actually really impressed with this figure because it's the first time I've actually seen or held it, and just arrived about 3 days ago in the mail here.
No, it's cool. It looks cooler than that one they have in this prototype picture, which just looks like a normal Splinter figure turned on its horse.
The fox and stuff. But I caught it. So he comes at, that's some kind of plunger, and it's got a weird face sculpted into it. And what else has he got? He's got, I don't know what this is. It looks like it clips on his arm or his leg because it's got a hollow, and there's a little like siren or detector or something on there. So I don't. And this one makes sense. It's just a knife. Yeah, they're just really strange. I mean, the whole line has strange accessories, but this one in particular, I don't know if some of these they reused from another figure or what, because I've never seen these particular ones before. Quite strange.
Slice and dice figures a pretty cool looking version of Shredder.
The same seller has that Shredder. Like the Splinter was like $20, but that Shredder it's about 50, but it's in really nice condition. So if he's still got it next month, I might get it.
Yeah, and it's I wonder, could you take the cape off your original Shredder and put it on the Slice and Dice Shredder? It'd probably be one of the better versions of Shredder you could make.
I've seen some people have it in their collections as their Shredder because it's a much nicer Shredder overall, and certainly whether it fits or not, I don't know, but it's not too hard like Nate Retro Tinker style to do a fabric cutout cape yourself and do a custom one from the old curtain store or whatever.
Yeah, I do have I actually have that Slice and Dice Shredder. He's kind of highlights my Knucklehead, I think is where he's sitting at the moment.
Yeah, then we've got the bloody Sewer Seltzer Cannon and a what's that? I don't know what the other thing is because I've never had it.
The Uzi, yes.
Uzi. Yeah, I did say Uzi, yeah. But it's more, it looks like more of a mortar or something.
Yeah, I have I bought like a lot years ago of like figures and what I thought at the time was just like random accessories and vehicles parts. But when I actually ended up sorting through everything, I have like maybe 3 or 4 of these like weapon sets. Like there's like the toilet plunger and the Uzi and a few other ones, but I just never kept them out in display because when you do set them up, they're kind of awkward shaped and cumbersome,
Yeah,
and it's
take a lot
hard
of
to like
space.
fit a lot of figures. Yeah,
They're
so
made to be played
mainly,
with. But if you've got a big playset or a shelf, you can fit some things that can work. But it's hard to display a lot of the vehicle type stuff. I never really had the vehicles as a kid at all, and I don't actively collect that stuff because it's just not around in Australia. I mean, a lot of it's collected about 20 years ago by adult collectors, and so if you want to get it, it's not that easy to get a lot of this stuff. But a lot of them don't appeal to me in the first place. I've got the Turtle Cycle, which I got as a kid. I still have it, and looking through the entire line of all the weird vehicles they did, there was a lot of vehicles like the Masters, but most of the figures don't fit properly on the vehicles and they fall off. So that kind of irritated me. So
yeah,
instead of buying some of those, I just bought 2 more of the Turtle Cycle things. I already like that one. So now I've got about 3 of those.
yeah. I think these like smaller vehicles and weapon sets were a good idea, just so I suppose for people who just did not have that type of disposable income, but they still
Yeah,
wanted to
for
give their
sure.
kids a little bit something that wasn't just a figure. At least they could get them like a smaller vehicle as well, and they could have a little bit extra
I had
to
the
play around
toilet
with.
taxi, and that had a wind up gimmick too, where it would roll across the floor and the little plungers would go on the front.
Yeah, but yeah, no, they were nice, nice kind of additions to the line, even if they weren't like
Mm.
probably considered like essential or anything. But it definitely,
Yeah, like
it
a lot of the
expanded that
Masters
world.
line, they really expanded it with loads of vehicles every year, like more than you could possibly buy or need, you know?
Of course, in that Uzi picture we see, they actually have some of the retro mutagen ooze that you could also buy in tubs
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
ruin your figures and ruin the
Yeah, own
carpet
your
with it.
figures, get it inside the joints and gummy them up.
Yeah, I used to be a little bit jealous of one of my neighbors. He was a bit older than me, and he had
Yeah.
loads of like the turtle stuff, but like his folks were pretty well off as well. So they'd always
Mhm.
just buy him tubs of that retro mutagen ooze, and he just basically like pouring it down the drain and stuff. It's like, oh man.
Oh, that would clog up the drain bad because that stuff when it
Yeah,
dries out will turn solid like glue.
yeah. And it's such like when you think about it now as well, like those tubs, even empty tubs of those ooze can go for quite a lot of money online. And
It's crazy.
he
You know,
was
you
practically
can
getting them every week, it felt like.
if you go on YouTube and look up videos about ooze, I mean, you've had your Masters slime pits, you had turtles ooze, oh, Ghostbusters, of course, ectoplasm. There's people that'll actually tell you how to make that stuff from scratch. You can go and buy the materials very cheaply and actually make fresh batches of any kind of ooze you want, put it in any kind of container you want, slap on a printed label, cost virtually nothing. It's crazy buying
Yeah.
vintage sealed ooze that's all expired and the chemicals
Yes.
are all gone to shit.
Yeah, you'd open it up and you just like powder will fall out. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing left inside that
have
container.
a tongue off,
It's tongue, yeah, tongue lashing going on here,
tongue lashing.
tongue twisting. They might get tongue tied with each other if they're not careful.
Okay, we'll see
Yeah, no,
what's on the next one here. More vehicles, and we've got illustrations here, so clearly we're still working on those ones. Oh, that's the toilet taxi I had, except the plungers are in a different spot. On the full version, they're kind of coming right out of the front. Here, they look like headlight eyes.
yeah, there's on the first, yeah, these first couple of ones here, they were clearly still on the more of the concept art kind of phase of things because we don't have actual pictures. But it
Yeah,
is pretty cool seeing that once again, that Psycho Cycle, even though I never owned it, I
right
have
back.
seen it plenty of times in pictures, and it looks like this prototype one has a lot more paint apps, or at least a few more paint apps than the one they actually ended up releasing at retail. I have seen that sewer dragster before, though I remember it being in shops when I was a kid. But yeah, never had. Don't think I had. I might have had the toilet taxi, and I might still actually have a toilet taxi disassembled. It might be part of those parts I was mentioning earlier that I got in the lot.
Don't use it as an actual toilet. That's a warning.
Yeah,
Learn from our experience, kids.
you may injure yourself if you use it for that purpose.
When you've got to go and you're on, need to go and you're on the go. That's when you get a toilet taxi.
Yeah, that
It's a
could
good
be a
thing though.
viable
I like the
business.
hubcap, sewer, great things, sewer manhole covers rather.
Yeah, and I like the way that these concept art drawings would pretty much still be the exact same box art they'd end up using
Yeah,
for
they
the
use them for the box
retail
art.
release.
It's cool. I would love a book of just all the vintage box art and card art would be a great book.
Yeah, we really do need something like that because the card art, it's a shame to think that that will just be lost in time unless someone does
Yeah,
unless like Playmates do something about it.
now's
Need
the
to-
time because there's a few people around the world who have complete collections of stuff, and once that's faded and deteriorated, that's it. It's gone for good. The original things are gone. Sure, you could recreate it and redraw artwork and do it, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the authentic thing. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, yeah, we need this stuff recorded and preserved, and we just need a nice little reference guide that we can go
I've
and
got
flick
stacks
through.
of like Masters books, Transformers book, other stuff that just every other major 80s toy line has like multiple art books and multiple stuff, but nothing for Turtles, which is crazy when you consider it's one of the biggest selling toy lines of all time.
Yeah, and the fact that it's still going strong today, and it's
Yeah, it's
still
still going.
it's still in people's minds. They really are missing out on not capitalizing on this. But
Mm.
we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully, somebody with some connections can petition whoever is the overall license holder just to say,
Yeah,
look, let us do this.
Nickelodeon Viacom.
Yeah, send a shiver down your spine.
Who's when they sold the official Turtles property to Viacom / Nickelodeon, a number of years back, it's been in good hands. Since the company's actually done fairly well as far as managing the media and making new shows like that 2012 Nickelodeon show. Fantastic show, like such a good show all the way through. And it had a toy line nearly as big, pretty much as big, as expansive as the original one. It went for quite a number of years.
Yeah, those 2002, 2003 Turtles figures and playsets were excellent, I have to say. I had quite a few of
Yeah,
them. Even had the giant jumbo turtles from that era as well. I still have them in
yeah, I've got a
storage.
lot of
Great
jumbo
figures.
turtles. I've got like this raft sitting over here. Hang on, I'll bring up a second. Hang on, just go take that one out. Yeah, so I got him sitting over here. That's the Mutant Mayhem one. He just come this
Cool.
week. Got him half price on eBay or whatever. But yeah, I've got jumbo ones from that. I've got my original Mikey from when I was a kid. Got the jumbo version of that. I think my mum picked up secondhand somewhere because it never had the box. So I know she got it secondhand somewhere. And I got big ones, the Nickelodeon ones, big ones are the Rise ones. I got a 4-pack set of that, and they were fairly decent. And then they've got reissue giant turtles in the vintage style. The measurements are a little bit off in the sizes; they don't quite match. But some more of those are on sale. They were really overpriced, but there's some on sale now. I'm probably going to pick up in the next few weeks.
Yeah, they were crazy prices. The big jumbo ones when they did the reissue.
Yeah,
What we're looking at here,
way
though,
overpriced. I just went for that price. You can still pick up some loose vintage ones. I'm like, no.
yeah, too much, too much.
Like I did get a
Um,
second-hand Don giant size last year, but he was quite scratched, no weapon, and one of his arms is basically decaying inside. It's a soft kind of rubbery plastic in the wrist, and it's actually snapping off. So the condition's not great, but I'm still glad to have it.
these pictures are evidence. What we're looking at now about what we were talking about earlier with those hinge joints on the toes and on the
Yeah,
legs. Imagine if you could actually fit your turtles properly on the vehicles.
yeah. Same as
Which
the
I'm guessing you're.
Masters thing. They've got the squat bloody. I call it the scurvy rickets legs, and then you've got the weird feet on top of it, where they do actually have holes in the feet to fit onto things, but they don't stay on there very well at all.
Like Grindhead Jim has those turtles on pre-order. I guess he's probably going to be one of the first to get them. I want him to actually try them out on the vintage vehicles and see how they fit in the
Yeah, that'll be
cockpits.
interesting. Oh, you might be out of luck there, actually. Do you do you know why? I think I can
Why is
predict
that?
that one right now, because we've got original RAF or original flavor RAF and crazy new flavor. Can you spot the difference there?
Oh, that's quite the difference in the peg holes
Yeah,
there.
a really big difference. So obviously, vintage is pretty much your standard action figure size for most things. The reissue one is way bigger. It's also, I don't know how many sides is 6. Your octagon, hexagon, one of them. Whatever one's got 6 sides. It's actually that shape and not even a circle. Don't ask me why. And I don't know if it fits on any of the modern stuff like your Mutant Mayhem or Nickelodeon, because they've got a little points on some of the play sets, and maybe it fits with some of those. I have to actually look and see because I haven't tried it, but it must fit with something because they've changed it that much.
Got to make room for the Mega Mutants here.
Yeah, I had the what's the top guy, Needle Nose, but I didn't have it as a kid. I had it as a teenager when I was in high school, but my mate that gave me a bunch of figures had that and actually gave that to me, and I had it for, I don't know, at least 15 years, and then I actually shuffled it on to another collector, and I didn't really even sell it. I basically gave it away, and I was making space and shifting house and all that, and he chucked it in a nice DTOF and sent me a picture, and I went, well, it's gone to a good home because it's been sitting in storage for 10 years.
Yeah, because the Mega Mutants are another part of the line where these days trying to find one in good condition with all its bits and
Yeah.
pieces can cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah, and sometimes I think, man, I was a bit of an idiot just giving that away because people pay all sorts of prices for this stuff. And I didn't give a shit. I went to another Aussie collector who
Yeah.
I've never met. I don't know his name. I never met him. I just talked to him on like a toy group forum thing, and I said, you can have this for postage cost, man, because it's basically $10. And he sent me a picture of it when it was in his displayed in his collection, and I just got such a good feeling. Went, yep, it's found its forever home now.
I always wanted to get that turtle copter as a kid.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
do
A
remember
lot of the
seeing it.
vehicles I didn't care for, but the turtle van is fun. It's underwhelming, but the idea of it was cool. But the turtle copter, I think, had a better execution as far as it actually looks and displays and plays as a pretty cool vehicle. It's better than the blimp.
Yeah, and you know, I was actually kind of thinking this: if you were to take the top blades off that and like sit the blimp
Have
on
that
top
as the
of it, would really
undercarriage.
look. Yeah, use that as the
Yeah,
undercarriage would be perfect. It's a cool looking vehicle, though I have
I
to
love the
say.
the shell pattern on the front nose, how it mimics their whole mouth and kind of snout look. Is awesome.
You can tell, even though by that promotional picture, that it's difficult to get the figures to cooperate with it. I would say.
Yeah, Don's might have dislocated his hips there to get into
Yeah,
that position.
yeah, they all go. They all have to get into their bow-legged sit-down pose to be squeezed in
Yeah,
here.
I do like the Killer Bee design. That's another Mirage guys one because I've seen concept art of that, and that's so like the bloodshot eyes and the kind of big crazy cartoony head reminds me of, like, you've seen like Hot Rods and Rat Fink and all that sort of art.
Yeah,
It's like that kind of style.
I just love the vibrancy of their even just the
Yeah, the
color
different colored
mashup.
limbs.
And he comes with a chainsaw, which is really
Yeah,
cool
I thought
too.
they were amazing designs, and as vehicles, I don't think they work too well, but as actual individual figures by themselves, they're really
Yes.
cool. I prefer it without the seat on it, really.
Yeah, because and that's the thing, because it almost doesn't look like even look at that Raphael figure on top of
Yeah.
Needle Nose. He looks so primitive compared to the Needle Nose figure itself. It's like they've come
Yeah,
such
it's
a
got so
long
much
way.
texture and colors, and
Yeah, same with the foot soldier on the Killer Bee. It's like look at this kind of
the
figure of the
foot soldier
past
looks
meeting
like
this
he's
figure.
ready to go on the toilet taxi, not that he shouldn't be on the
Oh
killer
yeah,
bee.
oh yeah, he's busting. He's ready to drop a load right there. That's why the Killer Bee
But
looks
yeah,
pissed off.
so some hit some winners there as far as the designs. I like these a lot. And speaking of which, moving on to these ones, we've got the mutant
Oh yeah,
module, and we've got some illustration for the Technodrome. So clearly that was still work in progress.
always wanted the mutant module, even though I know that it's very undersized compared to what you see in the cartoon, where they're all kind of riding around in it. But still a very cool looking vehicle. I would have loved to have gotten my hands on one as a kid.
Yeah, I love these two because they were genuinely cool toys, and you did see, well, you saw the Technodrome a lot in the cartoon. The mutant modules in the first couple of seasons, and they kind of de-emphasized it as they moved on to other toys in the toy line. But I always loved the design of it in the toy and in the show. I think that probably the toy looks better because it's got more colors, has a kind of silver reflective bits on it. You can't tell so much in that photo. It had more stickers and other stuff on the final version too, so it was actually really cool looking piece and cool gimmicks, cool design, nice colors and stickers and all that.
Yeah, and like I was saying, a little bit undersized, but this was the way it was.
At least you
And
could fit a figure in there.
Yeah, you can actually fit two if you do it right.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, there's two. I can see Rocksteady in the back. Like they only used it here and there in the show, and then not so much later on. They kind of like phased it out, and as the show went on, you could tell they were kind of slashed the budget a bit too, as far as the animation things are in. They were kind of cutting back on things. But I always remember it from the Konami arcade game because Rocksteady comes up through the building and then comes out for the first boss battle, and that's always in my mind as the number one thing for the mutant module was that arcade game.
That's right. Great moment in the game. They were actually pretty spot on with their Technodrome concept art here as well. It's pretty close to what we actually ended up getting.
Yeah, I'm guessing by then they've already done mock-ups and some sort of prototype, like hard copy prototypes, but it haven't got to the retail version to photograph it. They don't want to show like a wax copy or something in the retailer catalog.
Hopefully, at some point in the future, we will both be getting to experience the joys of the re-release.
Can roll out. Does it actually roll? I don't know if it actually rolls. It must have like I'm assuming it has fake wheels and then real little crappy wheels underneath. I would think.
I think so.
I'll have to do like when I get it. I'll have to push it down the corridor here and get my like 66 Batmobile out and maybe this reissue Triptychon that's sitting on the desk that I use my camera stand, and put the batteries in the Triptychon and have them do a slow walk and then have the Technodrome like chase them.
Do a race.
Yeah, the slow motion race.
Yeah, no, I'd love to get my hands on one. I love though, even in this bit of artwork, you can pretty much see the actual the play features at work.
Although the toy,
the colors are
the toy colors, I always think of the show, of course. It reminds me of Skylink, see, with those colors.
Fair play to the actual team of artists who are doing up these drawings and paintings as well, because the detail is phenomenal. Even just looking at Rocksteady there sitting in the cockpit and Shredder on the control, Turtles getting tortured, imprisoned. You're seeing a lot here in this little picture. Bebop then on the outside when it's all closed up.
Yeah, it's really awesome illustrations, and you can see. Actually, I'm zooming a little bit further in on the one offline here, and I can see that the turtles, one's in the cell and one's on that like circle-shaped bed with spikes on it that kind of looks like a pizza, but they both got red headbands, so they haven't given them colors.
Too.
Although it's probably meant to be Mikey and Raph, but sometimes they color them too close and you can't tell who's who.
Yes,
because I can see the other one's Don.
It might.
And there is Krang's way up the back as an illustration, just under that monitor periscope thing. I can actually see him in the background there too.
Oh yes, yeah, he's hanging in there.
And they've done, they've mirrored on the monitors the same turtle face everywhere.
Yeah, the same red band. No, I was just saying that we can see the connection there for where you would link the sewer playset.
Sewer place, yeah.
So you just wonder if they are going to do a retro Technodrome. Maybe they will actually do the playset of the sewer, so we can link the two of them together.
Because I've never had that sewer playset, and I've always loved to have one, and so it'd be great if they actually did a reissue. What about some role playing? Who are you going to be? Donnie, Raph?
It might be Mikey today, but this stuff is still on sale.
Sewer exploration belt. That looks like a ultimate Batman utility belt, but turtle style.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this stuff still on sale in the shops, with just the logos are changed to match the current logo. They've been
They always
re-releasing this stuff
redo
for
this
years.
sort of stuff like in their core, like they've always got their core figures, vehicles, and there's always the role play stuff for like every new version of the Turtles line. There's always stuff like this or Halloween masks or whatever.
This belt though, sewer exploration belt, that looks insane. Like it looks
It does.
absolutely
I've
insane.
never seen it. Like, it looks awesome.
Like all those little dials and stuff on it. Like, and there's got a
Yeah.
compass hanging off it.
And it's got bits of slime all over it, which is awesome.
Like a radiation detector. Like it's just loads of crazy stuff. It's even got a plush trap.
Yeah.
You know, a little bear
Oh,
trap.
yeah, you're right. It's like a bear trap but foot. And then you've got actual mutagen on there as well, it looks like, on the right.
Yeah, and like that's like that container is like translucent, so you can probably carry some type of oozy liquid inside. Yeah, that as crazy as it is, I think I prefer that belt more than I do the actual cosplay stuff. Like it looks like a pretty
Yeah.
advanced toy in itself.
I never had any of that cosplay stuff as a kid, but it has. I do see it's been like a popular item all throughout Turtles merchandise. There's always, and you got to be at the right age. I think if you're kind of 6 or 7, like kids are going to love it. And I think it's good that they keep making them, because for young kids, it's a really cool, fun item to. Just don't go jumping through bloody plate glass windows and stuff like kids unfortunately did back in the day, or jumping out of trees.
Don't join the youth chapter of the Crooked Ninja Turtle gang
No,
and start
definitely
looting
not.
nearby shops. You don't want to get into that stuff. See the Raphael sewer spy goggles as well is an interesting looking set.
It looks crazy.
Like I said though, they're crazy, they're wacky, but they're interesting. Like I think as a kid, I would have had a lot of fun with that stuff.
They're always over the top with their whole, it was part of that gross out trend to just do like weird stuff for the sake of being weird.
Oh, the foot ski. I have a foot ski on my shelf.
Yeah, I've never had that, and that's one of the few ones I actually did like as a kid. I thought that was cool, and that's another one too that was prominent in the Konami arcade game. There's you saw it in that as like a boss battle thing.
Yeah, Leonardo Sewer Power Sword. Is it just me, or is he holding? Does the kid hold that sword the way like the Green Ranger holds his dagger before he plays the flute to summon the dragon sword?
Yeah, it does look like that. It looks to me it's like what other stuff can we churn out? What are they doing, He-Man? Big sword. There you go.
I remember that mutant maker thing where you could draw the different. You just pick the 3 parts. It's like you can do like an etch a sketch thing and design your own little.
I was going to ask, is it tracing or etch a sketch? And
yeah, it was a pretty cool little thing. I remember seeing this at the time. I think it's one of those type of toys that you see across tons of different franchises. They do their own little versions of it. I always wanted that little both these little tubes here, the party tube and the army tube. They look pretty cool, and they
yeah, I
do actually
saw
float.
Treasures for Trigger Phil has. I don't know if he has 2 of the same or those ones, but I saw in his collection he had some of those floating tube things.
Futski though, that was always one of my favorites.
I love
even though it's something that
photography too. The nice job they did with the black background. It looks cool.
And I don't even know if we ever even seen anything like the Putski in the cartoon, but I always just remember thinking it was
No,
just
it
a
wasn't
really
in the
cool
cartoon, but it
vehicle.
was in the Konami video game, because when they did the very early days of the reference material or style guide or whatever, Konami incorporated stuff from the whole miniseries, like as in the pilot miniseries, as well as the toy line into the game. That's why there's so much stuff in that game, like those Rodney robots you only see in the first couple episodes and never again, are all through the Konami game.
Yeah, that Putski though, it's a wacky design with the like snake.
Yeah, it was a cool.
Front.
You played the Shredder's Revenge that came out a year or 2 ago. Yeah, there's a nice callback to that Konami game where it's a boss battle fighting the foot ski thing, and then at the end it like crashes. And in that game, there's a callback to that where when you fight the Rat King, you can see it's crashed through the wall in the background.
That's awesome. I see
And like, when I played
we're
that game, I
back.
was like, "Oh, well, it's awesome! It's a nod back to the boss battle in the old game."
We were back to the old. I see Rocksteady had the white horns in that last picture as well. They
Oh
must have just
yeah,
reused the
yeah.
same
But his head looks
prototype figure.
green. He's got a
Yeah,
green head. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, it must be like prototype stuff where they're still,
probably had
That
the
is
same patch
strange.
hanging around the office.
I wonder if the head's actually green or if it's just like I mean, when they lit it, it looks like it's actually green because otherwise, if it was lighting, the rest of his body should look green as well. That is really strange. That would be a cool variant.
The turtle cycle.
That was my favorite because I actually had it, and it was, and I just felt like it was a cool looking thing again. Again, the figures don't fit very well on it at all, but if you muck around with them, you can get them in a cool pose. But you kind of get it to one certain angle, otherwise you can see whoever's in the sidecar, one foot's always off the ground or in space because you can't fit the second leg on there.
See all these. It's like Flush-O-Matic, the retro catapult, and that
Yeah,
double barrel plunger gun. These are all other things that I have in that assortment of parts that I just
nice.
need to actually put together.
Well, the Flush-O-Matic, that's the He-Man thing. They can see they borrowed that one.
Yeah,
The
it's gonna
Hordak
slime the
slime
shit
pit or
out
whatever.
of your figures.
And that
The
pizza
retro
throw,
catapult is weird
yeah. Mm. Oh,
because you
that's the
can't.
ooze, isn't it? I remember from the ad.
Yeah,
That's the ooze.
you fling it, but it doesn't. The ooze doesn't actually go like inside it. You're
It
just
wouldn't
supposed to
because
leave the
it's
ooze
too
sitting on.
solid to fly around.
Yeah, it's just a weird toy.
That pizza thrower, like the gimmick of that, where it fires out the actual discs, like they use that, they've reused that in a whole bunch of vehicles and different Turtles lines. It's actually they've got it on the Mutant Mayhem van, has the same gimmick where it pops out sideways and then it's got you load the discs in, but apparently you got to put batteries in it, which I didn't know. I don't know why they just didn't do a manual button.
I'm looking at this picture of the party wagon with the
Yeah,
armor down and the two lasers pointed up. I never actually thought of displaying mine like that before, oddly
no.
enough. In all the years I've had it, might do that later on, maybe just to change things up a bit.
You just might. Yeah, it's funny seeing alternate display things and like stuff that's so old and you've never like thought of it before.
It's
What
like when
else
you
we got?
see the Transformers and their base modes, like, oh, you can display it
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that too.
It's like, hey, look,
Oh, the
there's all
Foot
these cool
Cruiser.
gimmicks again. Yeah, the Foot Cruiser, that was on the show, but it was the Neutrino's car, which was where the design came
Yes,
from. But then they made the purple villain version. It's weird that they didn't release it in two colors as a hero version and villain version would have made sense.
perfect for a little bit of Cadillacs and dinosaurs action. That Foot
Yeah,
Cruiser,
yeah, it's a
very
beautiful
cool
looking
looking vehicle.
vehicle.
It's another one of those things when you look online, you can find them, but to find one with all the parts, they're very
Yeah,
expensive
parts
usually.
and the paint intact, and yeah,
And the turtle blimp, I actually have like a complete vintage turtle blimp. The only
yeah.
problem is it won't hold the air anymore. Not long anyway. Like it will, you can inflate it and you might get to maybe keep it inflated for about half an hour before it just starts
Yeah.
leaking air. I've tried all the usual methods, for repairing punctures and stuff. I think it's gotten to the point where the
All the
rubbers
seams would
become
be
so,
decaying, surely.
yeah, everything, like it's so porous, like the air is
Mm.
just getting through everywhere, just because of the
I,
age
I,
of
I
it.
never had one, but a mate had one as a kid, so I did get to muck around with it. And even as a kid, I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of cool," but I'm like, I don't need that.
Yeah, it kind of, for me, I would have liked to it's the type of thing you'd like to have on display, but you just can't do
Yeah,
anything with it because it's so
yeah. If
big
they
and
made,
awkward.
they've done reissues, but they changed the undercarriage to be from one of the other later toy lines, so it's not a true reissue. But really, like a smaller version and a more solid thing without any air would make a better display piece to me.
Yeah, I would agree. And of course, here is the after or the aforementioned sewer playset with its connector to the
Yeah.
Technodrome.
I can see there's a foot soldier hanging out the end of it. It's like
Yeah,
they kicked him out.
and it's great seeing how this playset turned out, especially when we were looking in our first couple of slides
Hmm.
from the
It's
actual
very well
concept
designed.
art. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's so
A lot
simple
of
yet
play
at the
sets,
same
there's no
time
room to get a
effective.
figure in there, or the gimmicks don't work very well, or like most of the gimmicks in this actually work really well. The figures fit in there, it works to playing for a kid, but also works really nice as a display piece as well.
Or big multi-pack of retro mutagen ooze. I've been loving as well looking at all these pictures. Their blurbs at the top, their blurbs, it always says TV advertising, so that literally must be the line for line type of dialogue you get when the toy ad's playing on TV. So it's
I hadn't thought about that, but I
just
assume so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
because
they're obviously
so I've got there's collections on YouTube's are like hour long of like all the vintage Transformers ads, Turtles ads. The image quality is not great, but usually the audio is listened to the ball, and it's like it's a retro mutagen ooze, cut it, oh no, watch out! It's always like over the top and yelling the stuff so fast I hardly know what they're saying.
Of course, we always wonder about these children who appear in these catalog photos and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, do you get to take the toys home with you? Do you just get to play with them for a little while?
I reckon the kid on the right, he probably grew up to be Eric Bischoff if you look at his haircut.
Yeah. Yeah. And Eric Bischoff, before he was in the wrestling business, was trying to sell Ninja Star Wars, which were like little Velcro throwing stars toys. So that was a product he tried to launch.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy seeing that retro mutagen ooze in a multi-pack like that. Like that would probably cost thousands and thousands of dollars
It'll be on
for
display
expired slime.
You have like the Queen's crown and Vatican and works of art, and they've got retro mutagen ooze, all these priceless items.
And when you said Queen there, I thought you were going to talk about that Queen Hive playset, which also uses ooze when we're talking about the Canner stuff.
Yeah, you could use some ooze there.
Yeah, like even my niece used to get this thing. It literally was just called slime, and you just, like you were saying earlier, you just make your own slime and oozy stuff.
Do you know the this like reissue like little Toxie dude that come from that, was it Trick or Treat or whatever it is studios, like that came with a little thing of slime, and I opened them up this week, but the slime was no good. It's like brand new. It's like too sticky. I couldn't even get out of the container. I ended up having to wash it with hot water, and
maybe that Aussie heat affected it.
Oh, you're still there? It did a weird dropout for a second.
Yeah. I'm back. Yeah, it went pausey.
Yeah, it started spinning. I had to like heat up the ooze to melt it off the minifigure out, because I was pulling them out of my hands, and it was just like almost like Play-Doh or something. It wouldn't ooze at all. It didn't work, so I had to chug it out.
It's not Aussie heat. It's changing
the molecular structure. Though. It's like they just, whatever their mixes they got wrong in that. I mean, I don't care. I wasn't looking to do anything with it. I've got technically I've got another ooze behind me up here that came with the Muckman. But that was the Super 7 one, which I was surprised actually made it. This one actually works perfectly. I'll do a quick thing here. Hang on. I'll just take this out a minute. There we go. Oozing it. Oh no, I dropped on the keyboard. Okay.
It's like that Vigo slime and Ghostbusters too.
Yeah, but that works perfectly. This one, look, it's hanging, it's not breaking.
Yeah.
But I can grab it, put it back in. And when you touch it, it's actually wet or moist like water. So after you touch it, you kind of got to clean your hands or it'll get on everything you touch. Don't get it in the carpet or your mum will murder you.
Yeah, she'll kill you. You'll be in big trouble.
But that one I've taken out, and I played with it one day on a minifigure from Grocery Gang, which are a bunch of weird mutant themed guys. And that was like a little $5 figure. And I went, I don't care if this makes a mess or whatever, but I successfully oozed them all over and took some cool photos, and I was able to take it off. And I gave the figure a little rinse afterwards to get rid of the residue. Otherwise it dries over everything. But it all went back in there, except for maybe like, 1% that smeared on things.
Yeah, there'll always be some spillage and loss when it comes to that type of stuff.
Like I literally spilled it right then on my keyboard, but I quickly grabbed it and pulled it off before it oozed in there, and the keyboard's still okay.
no sparks or anything or smoke happening, so you're safe enough.
Not yet.
Oh, we got the giant turtles here. The jumbo boys are back.
Yeah. Do you ever have any of these? I had the Mikey I've still got them now. I had Mikey as a kid that my mum got secondhand from somewhere. I don't know. She come home one day and had it in her boot. And she's like, yeah.
No, I never had any of them, unfortunately. Once again,
The
something I
nunchucks are
looked
really
at.
cool. You can actually spin them around because it
Yeah,
has
the,
a little
the
piece of rope
proper
in there.
rope. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's actually held up. I've still got the nunchuck. I've only got the one. I don't know if I assume it came with two, but I've only got ever had the one. But you can hold it, and it's just a hollow plastic with a piece of string that probably got like a knot on the inside, so it holds the tension, and you can actually swing it around. It works really well.
So the smaller plushies, the 9-inch ones, are the ones that come with the suction cups, and then the bigger
Yeah,
ones just are like for display purposes, I guess.
yeah. Like both, I remember both of those being really popular. I never had any of those, but I saw them everywhere. Like every shop had those bloody plushies, and they've
Yeah,
done
the
loads of
suction
other
cup
plush
ones
since.
definitely. I remember seeing the suction ones around the place.
Yeah, but yeah, that brings us to the end of today's turtle catalogs.
Yeah, I had definitely it was a radical time. But no, I do love looking at this type of stuff, and it was a really nice little treat, surprise to get looking at these Playmates catalogs, and it's just good
Yeah,
looking at that type of material.
I'll send you a link later so you can look at the other ones from other years. I've saved them on Google Drive, and you can see like the full resolution and that because they're a bit squished onto get into the slides.
And it's nice, we got to look at some of the Kenner promotional material when we were looking at our kind of aliens and
Yeah,
predator toys
I love
recently, and
seeing the proper retailer catalogs and that because always got like the decent photos and good lighting and that.
for any Galoob fans out there, I'd highly recommend going on to the Epic Badgers channel and looking at Jesse's
Yeah,
video of
those
the
catalogs are awesomely
Galoob
picked up.
catalog. Awesome stuff. He goes through them in great detail, so that's definitely worth a watch if you're just looking to see any of this type of promotional material. Like, I personally find it interesting. I do like seeing the differences between like prototype imagery or sketches or concept
Mm.
art and what we eventually ended up getting. So, I'll always enjoy looking at stuff like this.
Yeah, the cool thing is, like we're back to WrestleMania next week. Following the week after that, we're going to do some talk about some favorite wrestling figures.
Oh yeah,
Might see him again. And then the following after that, we got some more Turtles stuff. Like I'm talking about like the pilot episode. Probably do one on the 1990 live action movie. But down the track, I've got a whole pile of these catalogs I've saved. Thanks to some fans who scanned and uploaded some of these and have shared them around in turtle communities online. So we can certainly do a sequel to this on the follow up years.
yeah. No, looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting mean and green with our favorite ninja teens.
On your screen. Speaking of which, I've got a little clip here. Now, it's a tough choice in life: video games or pizza. Can you make the decision?
I just can't beat it. Pizza's here. Musty pizza, but can't stop playing. But musty pizza, but can't stop playing. But musty pizza. Ah!
I've been there. That's a real life situation. I've been in that situation many times.
Very tough. I do love my pizza. I do love my video games.
Well, thankfully now we have wireless controllers, so it's easier to.
Look, I'll just do what Mikey did there. Just really just stuff my face into the box and use my mouth to pick up the slice. If needs be, you got to do what you got to do.
Yep. But yeah, I'll see. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a like if you get a minute. Post a comment if you'd like Tell us what you like about Turtles. Tell us what you don't like about Turtles. Or if you owned any of the old toys or new toys or like any of the movies, cartoons, whatever. Turtle Mania always going strong around here.
Let us know, folks. Cowabunga.
Cowabunga.